there are journeys that take you across the world. And then there are journeys that return you to who you truly are. This episode is part of Destination Awakening, Journey as Initiation, Travel as Transmission, a curated documentary-style symposium created in collaboration with GnosticTV and directed by me. What you are about to enter is not just a conversation. It is part of a wider field, a body of transmissions by wisdom keepers and code carriers from different traditions, exploring sacred sites, ancient lineages, and the role of travel as a catalyst for remembrance and embodied leadership at the time. This series originally lives on GnosticTV, and I am opening the episodes here on the Sacred Travel Podcast and the Travel Alchemy Show so more people can watch them. If you feel the resonance of these transmissions, you are invited to step deeper into the full symposium experience. The original link is shared in the show notes below. And I warmly invite you to get in touch with all the amazing speakers, as each of their unique perspectives and angles holds wisdom codes for your becoming. If these conversations resonate with you, I'd love for you to leave us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. But now, enjoy.
Because healing was never meant to be accessible only to those who can afford it. It is something every human being deserves to have access to. You don't have to go far to go deep, but when you do, something accelerates. There's something about being held in a sacred container in a powerful place with intentional community that bypasses every defense mechanism you have. The version of you that comes home is not the version that left. This work is for anyone who feels the call, not just those who can easily afford it. That's exactly why the foundation exists. Saying yes to yourself in this way is one of the most sovereign acts you can take.
Welcome to Destination Awakening, a symposium inviting you to remember how travel, when walked with intention, becomes a catalyst for transformation, spiritual awakening, conscious leadership, and meaningful change in the world. My next guest represents a powerful evolution within the world of conscious travel. Orion Dickinson is the founder of Orion Retreats and the Orion Foundation, an ecosystem that combines transformative travel, healing work, and philanthropy. After years inside the retreat industry, Lauren witnessed something many people quietly feel but rarely speak about: the commercialization of sacred practice and healing arts. Rather than turning away from the work, she chose to reimagine its structure. Through Orion Retreats and the Shine Your Divine methodology, she guides individuals into profound transformation and healing experiences in powerful destinations around the world. And through the Orion Foundation, every retreat and offering directly supports initiatives designed to make healing accessible to those who might otherwise never receive it. Today, we explore how sacred travel can become a gateway into life force activation, nervous system healing, and the deeper remembrance of our divinity. It's an honor to welcome Orion Dickinson to Destination Awakening.
Thank you so much, Julia. For most of my life, I've been living inside of one question: what does it actually mean to heal? After more than 2 decades working in the healing arts and transformative spaces for the for-profit retreat industry, I realized something that changed everything for me. Healing had quietly become a luxury. Sacred practices that were meant to reconnect people with their wholeness were being packaged as products. And I knew there had to be a different way. That realization is what gave birth to the Orion Foundation and Orion Retreats. Because healing was never meant to be accessible only to those who can afford it. It is something every human being deserves to have access to. And transformative travel, when approached with true intention, can become one of the most powerful pathways for that remembrance.
Lauren, you spent several years inside the retreat and wellness industry before restructuring everything around a nonprofit mission. What did you witness that made you realize the deeper existing model wasn't aligned with the deeper purpose of healing work?
Wonderful question. It was definitely a journey of discovery through trying to fit this model into what, yes, other people were doing for profit. And you start to price around a very self-centered, centric, I should say, model where it's about you and your value and what you're worth. And I kept seeing that over and over, and it became less about the people who were going to be attending the retreat or the offer or the coaching container than what the coach or the retreat leader thought that they should get paid by something. And I am absolutely all for people getting, everyone having sustainable income. And, a lot of healers, a lot of retreat leaders, they put themselves through a lot of education and training, and it's appropriate to earn something back for that. But when it becomes at the expense of other people and the people who are actually going to be coming to your retreat, it starts to change the dynamic. And so I really just wanted to change that conversation.
That is so beautiful. And that is the moment that the Orion Foundation began to emerge.
Yes, yes. It's been about 5 years doing the for-profit model, and it wasn't fitting. And I was finding myself wanting to not charge people because I was more about helping them, whether they were a retreat client, retreat planning client, or they were wanting to come on retreats. And it created a little bit of conflict in me. And so as I shifted into this, well, I'm very mission based, and my entire company, up until this point, has been more about the mission than it has been about revenue, or the traditional 3D business model. So when I restructured and created the Orion Foundation, it was an instant resonant shift for me. I felt the coherence right away, and now it's opening up just more energetic blueprints for the rest of the trajectory of our company and what we're offering, and gives people accessible entry point into their own healing that sometimes can otherwise be there's a financial barrier sometimes for some people. So we have created a model around removing that barrier.
Let's go to the foundations first. So the name Orion, it's named after your father. Can you share the story behind that name? Because I know it's a powerful one, and also how his vision shaped what you're building today.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's so near and dear to my heart. 23 years ago, believe it or not, was when my father was working on creating a philanthropic wellness center. And it was divine synchronicity how I was even brought into the conversation. I was 22 years old, and he had a very philanthropic model of having a wellness center that was for profit in some ways for people who could afford to pay for the very, very comprehensive healing systems that we were having in there. And then free for everyone else, and free for kids, certainly, sliding fees, everything, so that the people who could afford it would be able to then help make it available for other people who couldn't. We built this entire model around this, and we were going to have naturopaths and energy healers and just this very holistic model. And while in the middle of creating this and getting ready, he passed away. And again, it was very synchronistic that I was even there at home visiting during that time. And it's something that has lived on through me, even in my heart, before I realized that it was the Orion Foundation in what I've created now. My father's name was Michael. It started with a conversation that I had with him when I think I was 12 years old or something really young. And I said, randomly, Dad, if I could go to any star in the sky, I would go to the middle star of Orion's belt. And amazingly, he's like, well, that's a Stargate. You know that, because he was very much into metaphysicals and sciences and spirituality. And that started a long conversation over the years of just really seeing my dad in that new way, that he had a lot of wisdom and knowledge to him. And within his structure of what he was building before he passed, he had started to name everything Orion as well. So when I first started Orion Retreats, it kind of came into this creation of honoring that. But then again, divine timing, recently I shifted it to the Orion Foundation, which was one of the names that he was having for his philanthropic work. So it's fully carrying on this mission and then doing it in a way that's also my mission. So I feel like I'm still co-creating with him, and it's very beautiful for me, and it's very healing for that because, yeah, he had passed away and we weren't sure what was going to happen with his work, and this is me carrying it forward.
That is so beautiful and so powerful. And I bet that he is actually stewarding from the other side. So,
Because I'm not doing this alone, absolutely.
wow. Okay. What a powerful mission and legacy to carry forward. You speak about travel as a powerful catalyst also for life force activation. So, what actually happens to a person when they step into sacred travel container with really true intention?
Yeah. Something almost inexplicable happens where, yes, they step into this container and you not only unplug from your daily life, you unplug from your normal, you unplug from all your patterns. It's a massive pattern interrupt. There's a lot of neuroscience to it, and you step into both a new version of yourself because you meet yourself every single time you travel. You meet different aspects of yourself and different psyches and archetypes as we go through these different lands, and it's a combination of seeing yourself and feeling yourself in new environments and the cultural and just energetic activation of that area, whether you're going to sacred sites in other countries, other cultures, it really creates this amalgamation of a blank slate. And you can show up and be in that space however you are present to. And I think it's hard for us to really imagine that when we're in our daily lives, like, oh, I can just step into something new, but you really truly can because there's nothing in that environment that's the normal. That's the constant that they say in quantum physics. It's a point of creation that you can um, see things differently, know things differently, pick up energy and knowledge from the land, from the people, and it just expands your consciousness on such a greater level that we still don't fully understand. I would love to do some more research around conscious travel and see what it does to the nervous system and brain, but it really can be very activating for personal consciousness and development, certainly.
I would love to hear a little bit more about your unique signature, the Shine Your Divine methodology, in terms of like activating that life force.
Yeah, the Shine Your Divine methodology was born from about 20 years of learning different healing modalities in the healing arts. And in my private practice a few years ago, I've taken a pause, but it's coming back. But I was starting to develop something that was very unique to me. I've studied shamanism, I've studied all kinds of energy healing. Somatic practices that as I started trying to find the one thing that I wanted to practice, it really became very clear that it was its own thing. And so I started working with clients that a little bit of soul retrieval or extractions, a little bit of shamanistic work, but then also a lot of clearing around the light body. And so what I found is that both through my research and then through my hands-on technique is that the piezoelectric field of the body is essentially concentrated at the brainstem, and it's really what controls the entire nervous system and controls the brain. So when you do a high powered voltage hands-on technique, which is what I developed, then it basically activates the piezoelectric effect, which runs through all the myofascial in the body and helps to put you back into normal alignment. It's a very manual physical process, and some people didn't like the actual mechanism of it, but I believed so much in the brainstem and the activation that it has for the brain that I found a way to make it more of an energy healing technique, making the same effect, but it's truly different and it's very relaxing. And I incorporate that both into my healing practice and into my retreats. which is then the base of the retreats for the transformative travel membership that we have. And it's just been a very beautiful creation that not only does it help clear the energy body, clear the light body, remove debris, but then also brings you back into your own body and in your own balance. Because when you have, and this gets into a little bit more metaphysical and shamanistic philosophy, but when you have energetic debris in your psyche and your light body, there's not a lot of room for your soul to really truly expand and inhabit. So it's really just bringing your soul back into your body, embodying yourself even more, and then that just leads to improving your life around, because then now you're showing up for a different level in your own life.
That really sounds that the person who is coming on the retreat is not the same person that is leaving the retreat.
Very true. Very true. And in the best of ways, and in an integration at that point then becomes really important to make sure that we're helping our guests post-retreat integrate that new energy and that new awareness of themselves and the divinity that maybe they have activated, which is our entire goal, like awaken to your divinity. See yourself as a spark of the divine, because that's what you are. And then how do you go about your daily life? How do you go about your normal life with that new awareness after the retreat? And that's really important too.
So important. I love that you are touching on that, because I feel it's such an integral part of the journey itself that often gets forgotten in the seeking for spiritual aha moments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And then we start treating retreats as band-aids, where we go and try and have an escape or a fix and then try and come back to life. And the whole thing is about revolutionizing yourself and transforming yourself. So having a holistic model is really, yeah, is kind of key to all of it.
So a central part of your work is the Shine Your Divine Transformative Travel membership that you just mentioned. How does this membership model make the idea of healing as a birthright tangible for people and expand access to transformational travel?
The Shine Your Divine Transformative Travel membership I felt, was a very important creation to make it more accessible for people to come on these retreats. So it's both a transformative travel model where, yes, a lot of it is about the destination, what we're going to be doing, being in different areas. And then the other model is doing the Shine Your Divine healing technique, and just creating that container as we travel so that it's both healing and transformative. And then the membership model itself makes it more accessible, because for one low monthly price per month, you get to basically finance a retreat throughout the entire year rather than having an immediate out-of-pocket cost or expense. And it just makes it more accessible for those who want to make this a part of their life and make this a part of their transformation in their journey. It's been beautiful to see how well it's resonated, to know that, yeah, it just really makes it more accessible. And especially with the healing model, like, we don't turn anyone away. We also, through the foundation, help to subsidize retreat scholarships for people who may not be able to afford to come to a retreat. We don't turn them away. We can actually offer them a scholarship in this model so that they can come, because it's about the healing and it's not about the revenue. And that was the biggest shift that that I feel like we needed to have happen, because there needs to be somebody in the industry who's offering something like that rather than just turning people away, because the work is what's needed for the world, the healing work.
And it also, brings that community aspect that, like, yeah, they're included. Everyone's included.
Absolutely. And I think that that's really the heart of all of it, is this community, because retreats, inner work, journey work, that can all be very transformative, absolutely, in the travel itself. But the most overlooked part that most people don't get until they finally experience it is the community is a part of the healing as well. The connections that you make, the friendships that you make for the rest of your life, they witness you in ways that sometimes your close friends don't witness you. One of my personal retreat experiences from last year, 2 years ago by now, um, I God bless my friend. She was a friend. I really adored her, and she was hosting a retreat, and I went, and her and the 25 other women that were there got to see me in a way that I had never fully been able to let down my guard around other people. And I had this very beautiful transformative moment that I didn't even know I was fully capable of. And it was just very powerful, and I felt held.
You are walking that as an embodied path, and like bringing your own experience into the field is so valuable because you know what people are going through and you know what's needed and how much, yeah, trust, and as you said, like laying down your guards is actually part of the process.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of why this needed to be birthed from me too, is because in the industry, in the spiritual communities, unfortunately, we find a lot of people who guruize themselves and put themselves above other people. And it's an important conversation to bring up. And I'm not trying to, um, everyone has their own journey. And even if you go to those things and if it's part of your journey to externalize that power, then that's part of your own healing journey. But really, what it comes down to is that we're all human. Like Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home. And to put ourselves above others as I know best and you're going to listen to me or learn from me, it's a little bit of it creates a barrier for those people because what the most transformative thing that people can do is access their own wisdom, access their own truth. And so we just create the containers for that to happen. And the fact that I'm walking through this alongside every other woman, I've done a lot of journey work. I have a lot more to go, healing work, I should say, on my journey. But it's all about how we can be there for each other, and there's no one that's better or worse, and that's the whole point around the motif of awaken to your divinity. We are all one, we're all divine, and we're all doing this together.
So beautiful. Let's explore the sacred commerce part a little bit. So, you said that there is a growing conversation in the retreat world around the balance between the sacred work and also the financial exchange, which is very needed that this conversation is happening. So, how do you define sacred commerce and where do you see that the industry is actually evolving?
Absolutely. It's really important because it's everyone deserves to make be sustainable and have their work acknowledged and honored. And money is just energy. So facilitators deserve fair compensation, but also accessibility must be honored. So rather than what a lot of early or seasoned, actually, there's probably across the board retreat leaders, if they don't fill their retreats, they slash their prices, they do flash sales. And what that does, and I talk about this a lot in my other podcasts, but what that does is teaches your guests that it's not as valuable to you. And the best thing that you can do for your guests is to hold that line of value. And a lot of retreat leaders, some there's some on both sides, but really there are retreat leaders that then kind of go too far in that to say like, well, you're only going to get value out of this if you're paying $10,000 for proximity to me. And then there's on the other end too, yeah, or they'll just like slash prices just to have people attend, but then they're not making any money. So where's that balance? You know, like I was saying earlier, a lot of retreat leaders, I mean, for myself as an example, I've spent 20 years spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on my education, on my training, everything that I've done to learn what I need to learn about how to hold space and facilitate healing for others. That's a business. That's a career, that's a vocation, just like anything else. So and people who do this also need to get compensated just as much as any other career. So the balance is that we decided to develop scholarships in this philanthropic arm, essentially that's our entire container now, that rather than having a retreat leader feel like they had to discount their prices in order to get it filled, we help them and their guests actually get a scholarship, whether full ride or partial, so that that person who does really need it can still attend, and the retreat leader is not discounting. So it's a win-win. Sacred commerce and sacred reciprocity are so important because there has to be an equal energy exchange. And the people that show up that have paid more money, yes, they do tend to get a little bit more value because they have skin in the game. They've invested something, they've invested in themselves. And so rather than getting a discount where they think like, oh, well, it wasn't that much, so I don't need to show up as much, with a scholarship, if they truly need it and need the work, then it's preserve this level of dignity that they're going to value it, I feel, even more because it's been gifted to them and because they need it for the work. And so it's very beautiful. And I love that it's opening up doors and conversations in the industry of how we're doing what we're doing and how we are making it more accessible for people to come.
Thank you for stewarding that conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, it's needed. Definitely.
So looking forward, like if conscious travel continues evolving in the direction that you envision, what might the next generation of retreats and healing journeys actually look like?
That's beautiful. I envision a world and a model where travel is just as healing as the inner work itself. And we can go to practitioners, we can do hour-long healing sessions, but if it's not bringing somebody back to themselves, then it's only half of the equation. When you're going to other healers, when you're going to other coaches, transformative practices, it's still externalizing something, and there's always that risk of being dependent on something outside of ourselves. When this whole model, and I feel like the future of both healing and transformative travel and retreats is again about helping that person come home to themselves. Who was it? Was it Einstein or someone said that the future of healing is energy? And for me, what that means is like it's the awareness that we are source energy and we have access to so much more than we are aware of. And the practices and the containers that again bring people back home to themselves to awaken to that, I think is the future of the future of what the collective actually needs. This separation that we have from each other and the separation that we have from our divine origins, and not in a religious sense, in a very spiritual, energetic sense. I feel like it's the answer to everything. Imagine how much different you would treat other people, you in general, if we all saw each other as divine. Would we have wars? Would we continue to hurt each other? Ego, it would take the ego out of everything. I'm right, you're wrong. And like, how do I honor you as a divine being? It changes everything.
It's so easy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I really see that, network of light with like these illuminated, hearts and minds all around the globe. So it's beautiful when you speak about the vision, how that visual comes up for me.
Yeah, beautiful. It's like a candle lighting up another candle, and then
yes,
it's yeah.
Yeah. So for someone watching who feels the call to healing but has never considered sacred travel before, what would you want them to know?
I think there's a lot of pressure that we can put on ourselves if we've never been to a retreat or a travel experience before of having to be a certain way. And really the magic is when you show up exactly how you are, because we're all human. And so when you show up in your humanness, other people can honor you and see you in your humanness versus any kind of performative motif that we put ourselves into. I think I would want people to know that it's okay to challenge yourself and to go into the uncertainty and the unexpected and trust in yourself that you'll get exactly what you need without having to do anything in particular, anything that's a performance for healing or transformation. Just go and let yourself be taken care of by these retreat leaders doing these beautiful sacred containers.
That is beautiful, almost closing words. So, for everybody who resonated deeply with what you shared and wants to learn more about the membership, about your healing methodology, where can people find you?
Absolutely. Our website is orionretreats.com. So Orion, like the constellation, retreats.com. Then the foundation is the Orion.Foundation. And that's where you can read more about our philanthropic ethos and how we developed. But the travel membership then will be on orionretreats.com/membership. And anyone can feel free to email me at info@orionretreats.com. I'm also on Facebook under Lauren Dickinson, and my Instagram is both Shine Your Divine and Orion Foundation. So the Orion.Foundation. And welcome anyone just to start the conversation. And the biggest thing that I want people to remember is that healing isn't something that we should turn to when life breaks us open. It's a way of living itself. When we create spaces where people can actually reconnect with their own life force energy, their divinity, and their sense of belonging in the world, something really extraordinary happens. People do come home to themselves. And when enough people do that, like we were saying, those candles get lit and the entire world can change by the work that we do within ourselves. And so I invite anyone to reach out and contact me anytime with any questions or to learn more.
You also have a beautiful gift for our audience. So we do want to mention that. So you want to just share what that is?
Absolutely. I created a soul activation guide, which was born again out of 20 years of being in the healing arts. And so it's a beautiful guide to step into. It has journal prompts and questions and different ways for you to activate your own life force energy within your own life. You don't have to go outward, go travel anywhere to go do that. You can do that in the comfort of your own home. Go sit on a nice meadow by a mountain or a lake or a water source and just come home to yourself in your own daily life.
Beautiful. I'm going to load that down myself. I had a sneak peek at it and it really calls me. So thank you so much for offering that to the audience. We're going to be putting the link in the show notes. So everybody check it out there and download it.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you, Lauren. Thank you for reminding us that the future of healing is not only about personal transformation, it's also about restoring integrity, accessibility, and purpose to the sacred work of helping humanity remember itself. And perhaps most importantly, that healing was never meant to be reserved for just a few. It is always meant to belong to all of us. Thanks for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me, Julia.